It's about transparency in the beginning. The opportunity here is to be transparent about what these expectations look like from day one. Like, it's not everything is rainbows and unicorns every day, and that's all it ever is, right? And you show up to work and it's raining Snickers and slushies. It's talking in the very beginning about what the expectations are, who we are as an organization, what you should expect from me, whether things are going great or whether things are not so great. It's being very transparent around those things.
Hey there, dental economist. If you're a dentist owner or a leader within a dental business thinking about growing production, case acceptance, patient and staff satisfaction, positive outcomes, and everything else that comes with running a dental business, then you're a dental economist, and you've come to the right place. Welcome to the Dental Economist Show. We're meeting at the intersection of profit and purpose as I sit down with dental leaders who share their stories about dentistry, business, and growth. Welcome back to the Dental Economist Show with me, Mike Huffaker. Before we jump into today's episode, just a quick reminder, if you enjoy the show, if you could leave a review, subscribe, wherever you consume podcasts, it would really help us out, and it would help us bring more valuable insights to the dental community. Today, I'm very excited to welcome Mark Musso, the Chief Executive Officer of Specialty Smile Partners, a leading dental support organization focused on pediatric dentistry and orthodontics across the U.S. Mark brings over 25 years of leadership experience in both the dental and medical sectors. Mark, it is a pleasure to have you on the show. How's everything going today?
It's great. Thanks, Mike. It's truly an honor to be here with you today and looking forward to our conversation.
Yeah, me too. I always find it interesting when I'm having conversations with folks that have come from outside of dental or kind of cut their teeth in the business world before moving into the dental space. And that applies to yourself. Can you maybe share a little bit of your journey, kind of what that path looked like and how you ended up where you are today?
Yeah, no, it's great. I honestly enjoy the story. It's a little bit of fun. For those of you who don't know me, I spent 17 years at Target Corporations on the distribution side and truly feel very grateful to Target and the company for giving me just excellent foundation of leadership. And honestly, never would have believed back then that the experiences at a place like Target, how they would correlate to moving into healthcare, specifically into dentistry. The foundation that's built, I'm sure many of you listening to this have been to a Target store, and you can think right away like the differentiation that Target creates between their competitors. It was always all about the guests. I mean, everything we did every day was always to make sure that we were taking care of the customers at Target. And when I moved into healthcare, admittedly very intimidated by the fact that you're working with doctors. When we were kids growing up, you went to the doctor, you respected and believed everything that they said. And so it was a little intimidating to think that I was going to be a leader, but quickly realized that like any field, there's experts in each category. The doctor is the clinical expert, and fully believe in the fact that as a business person, there's this line that you just don't cross, and you allow the experts to do what they do, and you help and advise in the peripheral, a business side of it, and how we enhance patient experience, how we help with marketing, how we drive efficiencies behind the scenes and those kind of things. And so the technical aspects of business correlate across many lines. And so having that foundation, it really gave me the opportunity to get into the dentistry field and learn what the experiences that are needed to be successful in the practice. And so I spent the first year of my career kind of during the day, kind of spending time with the doctor who hired me. Dr. Ron Montano hired me, and I spent a lot of time sitting next to him and watching him train doctors, watching assistants get trained, actually doing some of the functions in the offices back in 2012. Hard about it, it was that long ago already. And at night, I kind of did my day job. Like I was working on the efficiencies and learning some of the back ends and those kind of things and understanding the nuances. And after a year or two of doing that, the reins were loosened and had the opportunity to become the chief operating officer at Hero at the time and really started helping expand growth. And We grew from 10 or 11 locations to 22 locations in a matter of a couple of years, and then got involved with private equity. Well, it was a private company, and we were able to go private equity in 2016 and been in the private equity world since then. And then had the opportunity back in 2022 to join Specialty Smile Partners alongside Boosie Capital, our private equity sponsor. And it's just been an absolute incredible journey. Very scary back in 2011 to leave corporate America and jump into private and private equity world. But looking back, I would do it again and again and again.
It is always interesting. There's so many parallels across different verticals, different industries. And you mentioned with Target, the fact that it was all about the guests. And I had a similar experience when I was in college. I was working at Nordstrom, and then I managed the men's shoe department at Nordstrom and with Nordstrom for many years. And when you walk down the stairs to enter the building, on one of the walls at the employee entrance, it was said, under promise, over deliver. And that was just one of the mantras that they kind of like beat into your head, which I've carried with me everywhere I've gone. And so like you have these foundational things. I'm sure Target kind of had some of those as well. Are there other kind of lessons that were learned from Target that you've taken to Specialty Smile, or that you reflect on? You're like, this is still a piece of that is just kind of carried through in my philosophy of how I lead an organization.
Yeah, the mantra at Target was fast, fun, and friendly. And it made it kind of fun to think about things fast, fun, and friendly, right? But it really meant efficient, be kind, and take care of your customer. And there's a lot of definitions behind that. But as a leader, you're not doing everything in the company, not even close. Like my role as a leader at Target really was to make sure that my team had everything that they needed every day to be successful. How I call it clearing your runway. And it's like, so what can I do to help to make sure that the team that's in the field, patient facing every day, has a clear runway to do the work that they need to do to take, whether it's take care of patients, whether it's putting on braces, whether it's restoring teeth or helping calm mom down in her child's first dental appointment. The thing of it is that there's a level of commitment that you have to honor. And the biggest thing is that your team can trust that you're doing that. I believe in the dentistry world, the foundation of everything we do is circled around trust. A parent is bringing their most precious person to a dental practice, and they're entrusting the providers and the team and the staff there to take care of their child. And the doctors and the teams are trusting the company, or me really, to be making great decisions for them, for their livelihood and safety and compliance and all those pieces. And conversely, I'm trusting that every day they're showing up and doing the things that are going to be in the best interest of the patients. And the thing that correlates between the previous experiences was kind of like what you said. You get that, the end user, so to speak. It's every day. Like, are the things that we're doing today going to enhance that experience? Because if they're not, then we really have to question, is it necessary, or why are we doing it? And you really need to unfold that layer one more time to understand if it's truly value added to the company. Because a lot of times things look shiny and great, but if it's not truly enhancing that experience for the patient, then let's look at it again and make sure that we're doing the right things.
Yeah, you brought up trust. And I love this topic in business. One of our core values at Planet DDS is trustworthy. And I talked about it. We just had our revenue summit last week. But what I find interesting about having that as a core value is you can't really declare yourself trustworthy. It's something that other people have to make the determination that you are. So it's more tied to actual behaviors and actions and people's ability to kind of come to the conclusion that that is indeed who you are, what you say that you're trying to be, versus a lot of the other core values that they seem kind of more of like a direct line that you can attach to them. So when you're talking about trust and trustworthy, you just laid out a whole bunch of different examples. It's the mother and the patient with the doctors with Specialty Smile Partners as an organization, the folks that are on your team. What are some examples? And I think it's broader, and this is kind of now I'm getting convoluted with my question here, but even broader in the dental space, there's this notion of, are DSOs trustworthy? And can you trust DSOs? What is the part that you all do, like when you think of examples at Specialty Smile Partners, that you think strengthen the trust that you're looking to have within your organization?
It's a great question. Right off the top of my head, the thing that I instill in folks from the get-go is that we live in, especially Smile Partners organization, we live in this environment where one, the best idea wins, and that you are free to raise your hand and ask questions without regard. And in every instance, the expectation is that you're given grace at the same time. And I talk about those and I live those personally and have that expectation and could point to very specific situations where I've seen that not happening and have had that just direct line of conversation in those instances immediately to reset those expectations. Because you said it, trust isn't something that's just inherently given. It's something that you earn. Now, somebody may say, I trust you until I can't, but that still means that every day you got to show up and you got to be who you say you are every day. Because trust is, even if it is given on day one, it could be gone in any moment. And you have to continuously earn to keep it then every day. And so being who you say you are is an important aspect of it. It's not just like honesty and the basic concepts of it. It's that commitment. If you say you're going to do something, then you do it, or you follow up and you help people understand why or what is preventing it from happening. And you help people understand the why behind that. I personally meet every doctor during an interview process that joins SSP. It's very important to me that I personally share this opinion or what I expect, not only from them, but from me and from the organization. And I personally ask them if it's ever not that to tell me. And the team has all heard the story multiple times. And it's not with a stick, like either. It's truly, hey, it may not feel this way, but raise your hand and bring it up early and let's have this conversation, because I am also going to honor my commitment to help understand what's going on and give the team grace in those moments to be able to work through those things and not just come at people. And so people have that opportunity to do better in those situations. Trust lends into perception. A lot of times people talk about trust and they forget about perception. And for me, when you look at perception as like the definition in the dictionary, it talks about how people perceive you. But I like to flip that switch, and I like to tell people that my definition of perception is how you let people perceive you. And so I believe truly that we each own our own perceptions. And if you don't, then you're leaving it to other people's just opinion of your actions. And so if you truly own your perception with others, then you get to dictate how people view you and think about you versus allowing it to happen by chance.
What are some of the other ways to build trust with your doctors and providers in the individual practices? It's something that's heard often is that there's benefits of affiliating with an organization that is going to provide business support and help you really be the best that you could be from a clinical perspective. And there's good stories of this and there's bad stories of it across the industry where folks either feel that they get that or feel that they don't. When you think of your obligation as an organization to the individual providers in each office, what does that look like to you?
It's about transparency in the beginning. The opportunity here is to be transparent about what these expectations look like from day one. Like, it's not everything is rainbows and unicorns every day, and that's all it ever is, right? And you show up to work and it's raining Snickers and slushies. It's talking in the very beginning about what the expectations are, who we are as an organization, what you should expect from me, whether things are going great or whether things are not so great. It's being very transparent around those things. And then the first time that you have to follow up on something, you may have to remind them of that very first conversation, but it's truly about setting those expectations in the beginning of both ways of what that provider, what that doctor, what that team should expect from SSP. And if it's ever not that, again, like it goes back to this core philosophy of them being able to raise their hand early, to ask questions, to have ideas and thoughts around things, to get feedback, and to just not be scared about it. I tell people all the time, the most disappointed I ever get in someone is if they don't do that. It is not troublesome. Sitting in my seat, it's evident. You give the appearance all the time of like, oh, he's so busy. I hear that more than anything. Oh, you're so busy. I don't want to bother you. It's like, please bother me. Like, the thing of it is if you don't share it today and you wait a month or 6 months or whatever, now you're extremely frustrated. Behaviors have been established, and it's going to be 10 times the work to correct this 6 months from now than it would be if you just said, hey, I don't know if this is real, but this is what I heard or this is what I'm seeing. We could use some help to course correct here, whatever the situation may be. And then honoring that commitment and following through, getting back to them and closing that loop day after day after day, people begin to be able to count on you. Through life, you grow up and you establish friendships with people and you have close friends. And it's like, and you think about those relationships. How did that friendship become so close, right? It's probably because you can count on that person. You can count on them during times of fun and you can count on them during times of need. And it's not all that different in a DSO, OSO relationship with a provider that they want to hear when they're doing well and they want to know when there's opportunity. And if you fake it or you try to skirt direct feedback, those are the things that destroy trust in those moments. And avoiding those kind of scenarios and also honoring your commitments throughout over the course of time is what's going to continue to build that. And they know that they count on you. And then they openly share that with their peers. And hopefully eventually word continues to just get out in that manner. And it allows you to grow at even a quicker pace than without it, for sure.
When you think about your role as a CEO, what are some of the things that from your perspective, you're like, I just have to get this right? This is where either I prioritize or if I don't execute well on this portion, you frame it however you'd like. When you think about just the function of being the CEO of an organization, where do you just have to nail it?
There's a bunch of areas, but if we start just continuing kind of on the office doctor partnership component, establishing, knowing, I guess, that the practice that you're about to partner with has a similar ideology, that it's not going to be just inherently different and that you're not going to line up and agree on philosophies or how to move a business forward. It's going to create conflict down the road and it's not going to be a good relationship. I mean, you think about in business, I mean, you spend way more time at work than you do at home. And if you don't have that at home, it's probably not going to work out. And at work, you need to have that. And so that's kind of in the partnership model. I mean, that's super important that you have to have that right. And then on the backside, the things that I think about every day that can be or could be moving targets, but it's really about industry at a high level, economics at a state or even regional level, and directionally where that's going. If you're going to make an investment in a new location, fully understanding all the aspects of the metrics that go into choosing those kind of things, like you can't miss on that. You're making a dollar investment from the organization, but you're also making an investment in people's lives to start a new practice. And inevitably, if it's failing, it's on me because ultimately I have that decision to decide to do something. And if it fails, it could dramatically impact those teammates and the doctors' lives and how much they're enjoying what they're doing on a daily basis because it gets tough. If we're not being successful, then you may have to close an office. You may have to make a lot of tough decisions. And so it's not just impacting the budget of SSP, but it's impacting people's lives and the care that they gave in the community for the people that they're serving. And so making those types of decisions aren't just numbers on a piece of paper. There's real people behind those decisions. And so for me, that's never lost on me. I really, truly want to be successful, but I also want to do good. And so having that weigh on the decisions definitely makes it tougher. And I may be a little bit slower on the decision, but I want to feel good about it once we do it.
What are some of the non-negotiables for you in individual practices where it's like, this is the SSP way? Like, we need to make sure, like, you don't have a choice. These are things that we always do in every office. This is the expectation that we have to lay the foundation so that we can continue to grow.
Well, Mike, you're going to love this. Here's my plug for Planet DDS because we are a Planet DDS client. So if you're a pediatric dental office, we expect within a certain amount of time that we're going to do software conversion for PMS and go into Denticon, or if you're an ortho practice, we're going to convert into Cloud9. Really, that decision for Planet DDS was made a long time ago, but but have some level of consistency in a practice and be able to train people very well and to support teams in training. Having one PMS across the platform definitely creates efficiencies. It definitely allows us to onboard people and train remotely or through video training and plus on-site training. So we talk about that early. The great thing is we have great support from Planet DDS, and we also have super users internally now, because by having one platform, you get really good at it. And so we can help onboard folks and get them really efficient, probably even more efficient than they were in the software they've been using for 20 years. And so that's one of those things. We give full autonomy to our doctors. And part of it goes back to my conversation early about learning if there's alignment from the get-go, because we can give full autonomy to our doctors. And I prefer that because we know that there is good alignment and we want the same outcomes and have those same beliefs. So it's never anything clinical in nature that, other than treat your team and patients with the highest regard and respect. Obviously, those are kind of just some givens. Obviously, there's power in consolidating vendors. And so typically it's kind of those behind the scene type things that we truly want to consolidate those items, just because the more volume, obviously, that we have, the more power we have to help reduce cost and those kind of things in the background. If you're a new associate coming in, it's mandatory to go through our onboarding program and have a mentor and get trained and go through the training process. But even if you've been practicing for a while, I believe in not leaving things unsaid, so to speak. And if you're just trying to fly by the seat of your pants to onboard a new teammate or a new doctor, inevitably you're going to forget something. But going through the lists and going through the training exercises, then you're making sure you're dotting those I's and crossing T's to make that happen. And then obviously the mechanic stuff, like in the background, switching over to our centralized payroll systems and centralized collection processes, and those things that are pretty common across most platforms.
Do you offer centralized RCM services? Is RCM managed at the practice level? How do you handle that today?
I think it's probably not all that different, but it really depends on the office. So if an office has a long-term teammate that was great at it and they work in that community, they have good relationships with their patients, we want that teammate to stay on board. And so they may stay local in the office, but they would be a part of our kind of centralized RCM team, if you will. So centralized in the fact that any RCM teammate kind of reports up into the RCM team. That teammate may just stay right there in that office and work and do the same thing that they've been doing, but be able to stay local and do that. So it doesn't require them to move or do anything, but it allows for us to really kind of add really great talent at the local level into our RCM team. And typically they bring like area knowledge, like insurance knowledge. It's very local to them. And so it's truly enhanced the team. And it's been a good process to this point.
So let me ask you this question, and hopefully this doesn't have negative ramifications for you in the future. There's lots of people that look to get your attention, whether it's vendors of supplies or software or somebody that wants to show you this new technology or something that the practice should have. Probably all the time. You're probably getting hit up. My inbox is a perpetual disaster. My LinkedIn is like, hey, somebody wants to connect with me. As soon as I connect, like I get the pitch slap immediately at that point. And so when you are looking for different things to enhance your business, do you ever take random calls? Do you ever respond to any emails that people reach out to? Or do you always do the research ahead and then seek it out when you already have maybe talked to colleagues or other folks in the space to get a sense? What does that process look like for you?
It's a great question. So I would say that maybe 1 out of 100 spam emails or random messages that I get on LinkedIn do I respond to. Just because, like, in today's world, honestly, you don't know if it's fish bait or you're going to click on some terrible link. I mean, it's super unfortunate because it's probably made people in sales job like so much tougher. But I mean, it almost never happens that way. The typical way that I go about it is asking peers, having those relationships with folks in the industry, or even sometimes outside the industry, because there's technology that's out there that spans across different platforms. And so typically it's like, hey, how are you thinking about this? What are you doing? Are you currently using the solution? Do you like it? Do you not like it? And kind of maybe narrowing the field. I'm a Google guy, so especially, ever since you could just talk right to your phone and ask it whatever question you want, and it spits out 10 different answers. But kind of all the above in the research area, ask the team to bring their thoughts and ideas to the table or around a certain topic or what it is, or if they've worked with folks in the past, but really truly kind of narrowing down that field beforehand before kind of reaching out and doing that. I've definitely had my interest peaked at different trade shows or whatever and walked up to a booth and had conversations live. I love having live conversations. That's still a little old school that way. But if you're sending me spam emails, because one, like there's not enough time in the day for me to read every one of them. I mean, in the 30 minutes that we've been talking, I'm sure there's 25 in my email, 30 minutes. So it's impossible to read them.
Perfect. So maybe this will be helpful. So find Mark at a trade show or a conference or an event. Stop sending him random emails, and maybe you'll have a chance.
Yeah, if you see me at a trade show, don't be afraid to come up and strike up a conversation. You might have to hear me talk for a long time because I tend to talk a lot. But no, I mean, it's random phone calls, like how they, your phone number, whatever, like it's insane. But the amount of spam is overwhelming, and the amount of spam emails is overwhelming, and the LinkedIn messages, same. There's just not enough time of the day. I'm not trying to be rude. Like, I honestly feel bad about it sometimes, but the fact is that there's just not enough time in the day to even just glance at the hundreds of spam emails and messages that you get.
There's a lot of noise out there. When you look at your business, there's a lot of discussion about the importance of same-store growth, the fact that growth needs to be sustainable, kind of the growth at all costs era is over, if you will. But it seems like there is, in general, still a belief that there's a lot of available runway within individual dental practices to continue to grow. Where do you see the opportunities in the space today?
It's a great question. It's different for every practice, though, and every demographic, or if you're in rural America, urban America, I mean, it's definitely different. But the trends that we're seeing right now and happening in the space, but the current economy has definitely had some impact over the last couple of years. And the average household savings account is like at an all-time low today, like lower today than it was pre-COVID. And which is problematic for somebody who wants orthodontic. Birth rates in America are down. Those things are all things like will impact us over the next several years. And so what does that mean? Well, it means that we have to be creative in how we expand our services. Do we add additional lines of service to the practice? Johnny's getting braces. Does Johnny's mom and dad want Invisalign or some limited treatment? Is there opportunity to treat the entire family? Those things are definitely areas of expansion. How do you take advantage of technology, and how do you support or grow your services into even more rural areas without having to like necessarily travel to them? How do you utilize video technology or utilize some remote care technology? How are those things going to continue to evolve? How is AI going to help improve the performance of your office? All of those things are components of areas that we're exploring and how we want to grow into the future. Because if you're not evolving, this is an old retail joke, but nobody wants to be Sears. And when I was a little kid and we went to Sears, and 10 years ago, before they closed their doors, like for the most part, it was still kind of the same. And while others were developing more of an online presence and developing this and developing shopping from home, and Amazon changed the world. But it's real, and it applies to healthcare as well. I mean, you can sit in your chair at home and dial in and get a visit to a doctor just through your phone and not have to go to an office or get in your car. And that wasn't available 20 years ago at all. I mean, so those things, so we have to be constantly thinking about what's next in healthcare, and is this something that we want to explore, or is there a different avenue? And so all of those things are on the table every day. And it's like, okay, well, which one do we want to explore? Is it feasible for us? Is it cost effective? Do we really think there's a return on this? Do we have the team or the staff that could support this? Do we have anybody who was passionate about something that we can explore? So all of those things are the avenues that we look at and how to expand services, how to grow. Because you're right, same store growth, organic growth, as they call it, is truly kind of the foundation or fundamental component of sustainability. And what we're trying to achieve is sustainability because that's the most investable platform that there is. And so it's super important that we create that.
And you definitely identified some of the headwinds that the industry is facing. I I guess in a very nonchalant way was like, there's lots of runway for growth still. And then after the fact, I was like, it's not that easy. But your explanation of, hey, here's the headwinds, but also here's things to think about with ways to evolve. I think it reflects an open-mindedness for the future looking different. And I think that's something that a lot of practices should embrace. Your Sears example is a fitting one. And actually, I could probably close my eyes right now and still see what the inside of the Sears store looks like in my brain. Give me a sense of what are some of the things that get you still excited about the dental industry as a whole, when obviously we're working through some challenges right now. But if you're just kind of thinking long-term prospects for why this is a great space to be, what are some of the reasons for that?
It's a very exciting space. I think that the industry as a business, not necessarily like the care or the clinical stuff. I mean, I think that what's happening inside dental office from a clinician standpoint is phenomenal. And technology is advancing quickly for patient care specifically. But from a business standpoint, there's a huge runway for growth. I mean, from a consolidation standpoint, the pediatric dental and orthodontic world is still in the low double digits, like 12, 15% max consolidation level at this point. So like there's a huge runway for continued affiliation and partnerships in this field. And so that gets me excited because there's an opportunity for us to partner with a lot of doctors and teams that are out there. And because that technology is advancing so quickly, it's really difficult for a single provider to do that on their own. They're head down, they're in the office, they're trying to manage their team and their staff on a daily basis and take care of patients. And it's hard for them to kind of put their head above water. And so we would love to be able to work together and free up a bunch of their time so that they can participate in that technology as we would forward.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's actually, I think, one of the best arguments for groups and affiliations, DSOs, private equity involvement in dental, all of it is like there's the opportunity to push advancements forward in a way that is very, very hard in an industry where everybody is just a solo independent practice because of the fact there are so many demands. You don't have, to your point, the resources available to understand what's in the marketplace. And I even think of my own dentist, he's an independent practice and great dentist. And I go in and like, hey, have you guys thought about Curodont? What are you guys doing with that? Are you using radiographic AI yet? He's like, who is this weird patient sitting in my chair right now talking to me about these random things I've never even heard? And like, he hasn't heard of them, but it's indicative of the fact that like, he's got a business to run day in, day out, heads down, patients to see. Who's doing the research at that point to be able to take advantage of these new technologies?
So that's exciting. There's the other part of it for me is people development. So something that I've just been passionate about my whole life. I mean, it spans all the way back into like my high school days, being a peer mentor and just loving being passionate about helping people. And then I think about my own experiences early in my target days and the mentors that I had and the people that pushed me to take a different pathway and to get into leadership. I was a math major. I wanted to become a college professor way back in the day.
Is your degree in mathematics?
Yeah, I was a math track the whole way. And then my dad was an elementary school principal and like pretty much my whole family were teachers. And so I didn't want to teach little kids like that. It was just not my cup of tea. And so I was like, well, so the next best thing is to become a college professor. And life changed early on for me. And I had just some great leaders that early in my career, my early 20s, that were like, you need to do this. And I did. And it was awesome. And so if it wasn't for those folks who pushed me, guided me, coached me when I needed it, then I wouldn't be where I'm at today. There's no chance. And so my pay it forward is I believe everybody who wants a development plan should have one. And if I can spare, I will make the time to help mentor somebody. I may not be able to be the regular monthly mentor for every teammate in the company, but I will absolutely spend the time to help establish their path forward and help them believe or be able to believe in achieving what they dream of. And so that's important to me and probably the thing I'm most passionate about. I was a executive mentor at Target for years and carried that over directly into dentistry. And so love mentoring teammates and doctors in leadership and just helping them be a better leader in their practice is something that is near and dear to me for sure.
Well, your name initially came up when I had Josh Gwynn on the podcast, and I was asking him for individuals in the industry that he looked up to, that he learned a lot from, had good relationships with. And he, of course, had mentioned you. So maybe I'll ask you the same question. As you think about your time in the space, is there maybe anybody else I should be inviting to the podcast or anybody who's been particularly impactful to you as you've navigated through the dental world?
I will tell you that I believe in being a student every day. So I could probably talk about 100 different people that I've learned from in the space. And they're definitely not just leaders of mine. Like a lot of times I learn as much or more from people that have been on my teams and understanding things and just being open to feedback. You mentioned Josh, and Josh and I we had a great relationship and obviously work well together. And as much as he claims he learned from me, I probably learned as much from him in different areas. Truly a great individual. My first Dr. Montana, he was the sole owner of the practices when I first got into the industry. I mean, he truly showed me what it meant to learn and lead next to doctors and what those conversations look like. And then as he kind of moved out of the practice, we promoted a doctor. Her name's Rebecca Meisner, Dr. affectionately known as Dr. Becky. Some people call her Superwoman, I think. But truly the insight to what doctors are going through on a daily basis, giving me that feedback. She's kind of in the prime of her career, truly just an exceptional individual. And I probably learned more from her in how to relate to doctors than I did anyone in the space, and currently still in the space, but truly just an exceptional individual for sure. My Target days, those guys, I still talk to a few of them this day. They've since retired. I was a kid and they were 20 years deep in their career at that point, but probably foundationally, these guys were probably shaped who I am today more from a pure leadership perspective, shaped who I am probably more than anybody.
And you mentioned being kind of a perpetual student. It's a great way to go through life. Aside from relationships, are there any other places that you go to learn, books or podcasts or anything? What's kind of your go-to?
I'm definitely a listen to book person. And so I'm on the road a lot and a lot of windshield time and a lot of sitting on a plane or whatever. And so I may hear about a book randomly. It's super easy to immediately just flip over to your Audible account, or you hear about a podcast and flip over and just like add it to your collection. And so that you can, next time you're on the road, just pop one in and there you go. But at the same time, I'm also kind of like, I need a little ramp up. So I will turn Amazon Music on too and just jam out for a little. Dude.
Nice to relax every now and then also. Maybe so many constant inputs.
Yeah, I do read some of the newsletters. I read several of the different business reviews that are like larger economic scale, like Harvard Business Review, some of those kind of things. Read those because it gives you insight into what may be just impacting your slice of pie. But I also subscribe to some of the very specific dental forums and those kind of things. And I'm a headline guy, so I read through headline and something catches my eye, click on it once in a while. But I mean, it's all of those things. But honestly, I think that those are great to give you kind of insight to the things that you're not doing and maybe some different opportunities. But I probably learned the most from going to an office, sitting down with the team over lunch and just talking about what's going good in their lives and what's not, and getting insight into what's motivating them and what's not motivating them. Because your most powerful tool every day, especially in local areas, is your team promoting that practice. I mean, 10, 20 individuals that can be in all different parts of their community and spreading the good word, or they're damaging it. And so making that be a tool kind of in your tool belt that can be effective is just as important.
Last question for you. AI, exciting, scary, overhyped, not hyped enough? What's your just kind of general viewpoint on artificial intelligence?
So it's a great topic. I'm excited about AI. Like, let's just get that up there. I'm excited about what the capabilities are and what this, can create. Right now, there are 1,000 different AI startups and companies, and we can do this and I could do that. Like, navigating that right now is kind of crazy because it's kind of like when new programs were first coming out for PCs. I mean, I'm dating myself a little bit here, but 30 years ago, you're like, I have no idea. Like, you buy a Apple or do you buy a Dell? Like, you had no idea or did you buy the Commodore 64 that became non-existent? Right now, there's definitely a few players kind of rising to the top in a couple of categories, but I think there's a tremendous amount of opportunity for AI to be more comprehensive and to give more insight and to create tools of data that are usable within the offices that will make offices more efficient. And so more to come, really, I think, in the area. But I think that it's one of those things that are very progressive right now. And if you're not exploring it, it's probably something that you should at least start to gain knowledge on so that when the time comes, because it is going to come, that you'll be in a position to be able to utilize it where it best fits you in your office.
Absolutely. Well, Mark, thank you so much for joining the podcast today. It was really great to have you on.
It was great to be here, Mike. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely.
The Dental Economist Show is brought to you by Planet DDS, home of Dental OS. To find out more about how cloud-based dental software by Planet DDS helps unleash dentists and their staff to focus on patient care, visit www.planetdds.com. Stay tuned for upcoming episodes by following wherever you listen to podcasts. And thank you for listening.